Hello, friends. So, I want to give you an update on, on what's going on, what's happening in the unseen world, in the hidden realms. What's the extraterrestrial forces and things that are happening on our planet, and there's so much going on, and the things that we're seeing in our world offer just little strange glimpses, and it's difficult to know what does all of this mean, and where are we at, and how are we to make sense of our place in history right now. So anyway, so this is my next bedroom report. I'm busy building. I'm busy building a new home, and the new home is going to have a new studio, a special place to do all my kind of work, including making videos and all that sort of thing. So forgive the setting. So it's just the bedroom of the little cottage where I'm renting right now. So even just trying to glean, even just trying to access information about what's going on is really difficult. All my usual spiritual sources, I speak to Goddess Gaia, I speak to Adamu, I speak to my spirit guides, and I get tendrils of information. And it's not that they're trying to be obfuscatory. It's not that they don't want to tell me. They're just, here's what I get is trying to discern the future when the future is being played out by many parties dancing together is difficult. Because let's just take a step back. Let's take a step back to the time just before the Ukraine war. We could, at that point, we could have told you that there's this faction, the Red Shield owned, the Red Shield possessed NATO Western faction, and that faction needed control of the Ukraine. The Ukraine as a nation is pivotal to their plans. Having a free to act, having a Putin Russia right on their border was completely unacceptable to them. So we saw this developing. We saw how the Red Shield NATO West, RNW, the Red Shield NATO West faction was preparing and preparing and preparing. The Minsk Accords was just putting Putin on hold while they continued to prepare for what they wanted to do. They wanted an operation which would bait Putin into attacking. You just do aggressions and do aggressions and do aggressions that are not in themselves overtly military aggression. You expand NATO and you put things right there in the Ukraine. They baited Putin. They wanted him to attack, because if he attacks, then they have the moral high ground. Then they can say, see, bad, mad Vlad. And that's exactly the card they played. He's mad. I read in the press, he's got cancer. He's dying and it's gone to his brain and he's mad. The attacking Ukraine is just this mad, expansionist, crazy thing for him to do. And we didn't expect it at all. And why would he do this? And now we must defend. So they for the audience in the West, claiming the moral high ground, so that they could do what they really wanted to do, which is a war on two fronts. Get him engaged militarily, and then as far as they were concerned, they had superior weaponry. They had the whole of the weight of the NATO alliance. So they wanted NATO to be a grinding, a meat grinder, a meat and material grinder. They wanted to grind NATO forces, Ukrainian people against Russian, and just engaged in this lock to use up, from their perspective, all surplus and old and all the non-standard NATO stuff, so they could fire up their war machine and replace all of that, and so have like an economic renewal for, for their minions, and while at the same time grinding down the Russian uh, um, war machine. The second kind of conflict that they were then wanting to open up, and did, would be an economic war, actually a financial war. Their plan was to completely annihilate Russia financially, um, because they've got all the tools. The whole world runs on the Red Shield banking system. Everything, the whole world runs on it. And so the so-called petrodollar is really just like a one part of it, but SWIFT, IMF, all of these things, all parts of a worldwide financial order that they thought they'd kind of sewed up. They'd owned it. But of course, um, Putin and his allies, Putin and the people he'd been talking to, Russia, they'd built BRICS. These are not unintelligent people. These are not people who are unresourced as far as, military intelligence goes. I'm doing a retrospective, but it leads to where we are. So we're getting to the new news in a moment. Bear with me. This is not easy to talk to. Um, so they were prepared. They were prepared for this. They kind of saw it coming. BRICS, the BRICS Bank, the notion of an alternative economy is belts and braces. It's preparation for the moment when the Western economy is going to be imploded. The Red Shield faction has seen that their financial system, their banking system, the existing one that we're using, has a sell-by date. At some point it implodes, it dies. It has to. It's sort of like a mathematical certainty. They have it on life support. We've known this for a long time. And they've been preparing so that when the system that they own implodes, they will have another system ready to roll that will just pick up. And their primary motivation, number one, is to be in power, worldwide power. They want totalitarian, worldwide dominion and control. They presently, with their existing financial system, have a lot of control, but they wanted to use this implosion to cement total control. And everything that we've been seeing, the scamdemic and the vax and it's all positioning. It's all machination. It's all trying to get into place so that they can, shut us down, lock us down, control us all, stop us from movement, and replace the existing financial system with a new financial system, which has embedded into it, has social control systems. So you will do what they say what they say, live in accordance with their diktats and rules. And then if you're very good, then you get things. You will get a universal basic income paid to you in a central bank digital currency, which is programmable, controllable money, which is, then they will tell you, because of, the global warming lie, and it's a lie. I mean, there's crazy things happening in global weather, but not because of anthropogenic global warming. But they'll tell you that because of that, you need to be controlled. You can't have a vehicle of your own. You can't travel. You can't move internationally unless your social credit score is through the roof and you're so good. In other words, you're just a good little minion in which case you get all kinds of rights and privileges. And so it's really absolute control down to a granular level, down to being able to control what you say. So that's really, if we can't communicate honestly and authentically, effectively they're trying to control even how you think, and controlling your health via your immune system by having us all on a train where you have all the little jabs that they tell you to have, and essentially they're controlling you by your health. So it's absolute totalitarian control. Now, it hinged, ironically, it hinged on the Ukraine. They need to have control of the Ukraine, and there's all kinds of reasons for that. There's all kinds of underground tunnels that come out in the Ukraine, and they wanted the Ukraine as a kind of a that would be their center of operations, their homeland. So it all hinged on the Ukraine, and their plan, one by one, every one of their plans has failed. We are, as Adamu would say, we are on the higher frequency timeline. On this higher frequency timeline, we don't get totalitarian control by the Red Shields. So kind of everything goes wrong for them. Every step of the way. For one thing, the virus was just not as serious, as deadly as they had engineered it to be. And so the demand, the clamoring, oh, wondrous Pfizer, oh, heroic BioNTech, save us from, this fate, deliver unto our veins your holy nectar that will save us all, kind of didn't happen. And how hard did they push for it to happen? You were there, you saw it. We have never seen the propaganda censorship industrial complex running at full speed like they did over first of all the disease. Oh, people are dying in the streets. Hospitals are overflowing and they were standing still. People didn't really die of COVID. I mean, if you think about it, the people that died of COVID all died in hospital. People didn't really die at home so very much, because in hospital was where you were being killed with ventilators and with remdesivir and things like that. People died of comorbidities, and people died at the age that people generally die of old age. People dying of COVID were on average like 76 years old. Like that's the average age that people die. So people died, their comorbidities were perhaps triggered with a COVID infection. COVID was essentially a new flu. I don't know even what my position is on, is there actually a COVID virus that was engineered and released by a lab, or was it really just flu toxins? There's a lot of information about that, and it doesn't really matter so much as the fact that this was all to get you to accept the lockdowns and the control and the vax. And we collectively sort of went along with it, but there were enough of us that were resisting. There were enough of us that were saying no. So what I'm saying is, all of this, if we were zooming back, if we were sort of 2019 and we were saying what is coming, it would be very hard to say this, then this, then this, then it would be very hard to say, because there's this giant dance between entities trying to get to an outcome, and sort of us, the human intelligence, and our natural resistance to being controlled and manipulated, and the good forces operating kind of behind the scenes. And so that giant dance is continuing to play. Recently, what I'm told is that galactic forces have decided it's time to start pushing for um, a forced disclosure. That is to say, disclosure of the dark elite and the deep state, and they know a whole lot more about what's going on in the skies, in the galaxy around us. They know a whole lot more than they're telling us. What they know is still just very little, but they know a whole lot more. They're not telling us anything. Now there's this trickle of information so that they can get ahead of things, that when we can no longer hide that there are these galactic forces. Then they're going to say, oh yeah, we were preparing, we were trying, we were telling you. There's this trickle of information just to get ahead of what's happening. So the Galactic Federation um, is endeavoring to force us to know that they are there. And they started that with, the sort of lights and spaceships in the sky. They started showing themselves more and more and more to force a movement in the game. And the Dark Elite responded with putting up all these kind of drones, so that, oh, it's all just drones. And then they played this fog card. They released a infectious agent laden fog in many places, as a shield that would hide the lights in the sky and cause harm to those that are trying to monitor it. So that was a card, and then there's a counter card, and then there's a next card. So the game is playing, and it's very, very hard to know in specifics what's going to happen. So I was asking, so what's happening, and what do we expect? What does 2025 look like? And what I was told is this: the details are going to be kind of crazy. There's going to be all kinds of things happening, but this is the year of the ending of the ending of the ending of great cycles. It's like we've been in for the last while. We've been really in the crucible of changes. Well, all of that is coming to an end this year. And what that looks like is that this is the year of great revelations. This is the year when the illusions really come crashing down. Now, depending on where you are at, kind of ideologically, what are you attached to? What are you telling yourself makes you safe? What are you telling yourself is true? Depending on how you answer those questions, this year will either be like a great relief, a great, oh my God, yes, now, finally, now we know, now we've seen, now we've got the information, or a very difficult year of cognitive dissonance shock, as the things to which you are attached are shown to be unfounded, untrue, based upon lies. So if you're listening to this, you're probably okay. People who are on a spiritual awakening path, people who are paying attention to what's going on behind the scenes, people who have long ago lost interest in believing what the mainstream media tell them, people who have been conspiracy theorists. This sort of group is best prepared for what's coming. You're going to be okay. Ideologically, you're gonna be okay. But your neighbors are going to struggle. People around you in the world, people in your cities, your towns, people that cohabit, they're going to struggle. So, I hate to say it, prepare, because we've been saying prepare for a very, very long time, and people have got preparation fatigue. And the people who've got the most preparation fatigue are the ones who are very often the least prepared. Um, and so there's not really much more to say. And this is what I'm told, is there's not really a whole lot of value in giving you a whole lot of information, because even if we could tease out the details of what would be likely to be happening more or less where you are, even if we could get that level of information, of what use would it be to you? And we don't, nobody wants to reveal their hand. You don't want to tell sort of the opposition what it is that you know about what they are up to, and what it is that you are prepared to do in reply. And because there is an active war going on, and that's the next bit of information. Not that this year is this big revelations, but friends, not only are we already in World War III, we are. World War III has been running for some time now. It's running as a proxy war. I mean, all over, there's all these conflicts happening all over the world. The Ukraine is really just unique in that in the Ukraine, the one side, sort of Russia, is actively directly engaged rather than in supporting proxies. But World War III has been running as a proxy war all over the globe for some time now. The sort of economic side of World War III has been running for some time now. But World War III is a localized thing that's happening on planet Earth, underneath the Earth, and in the skies. There's also the same kind of what would we call that? The great final galactic war, because there are players. The Red Shield, NATO, West are not in complete control. The whole political thing that we've been seeing, this kind of almost impossible movement where MAGA Trump, and not just in America with MAGA Trump, but it's rolling out across Europe. There's a sort of a resurgent nationalism, a desire to make your nation great again, and not just be a part of this globalist red shield machine. So there's a resurgence of taking care of yourself and your own people, which is not just what it seems. There's a military faction that's operating in parallel. There's an intelligence faction operating in parallel, vying for control across the West. So the Red Shield NATO West is being white-anted from within and losing power from within to this faction. And this reflects something that's going on a galactic level. So the Red Shield faction has its roots in going back to pre-Babylonian times. There's been this group that's been operating behind the scenes in the world. I mean, we've lazily given them a label. We've said, oh, it's the Illuminati. Oh, there's nothing illuminated about them. And they're also, composed of, it's very complicated, friends. They're also composed in themselves of many, like, groupings and factions. So they've been tenuously holding it together, trying to gain control of the world. But their roots, their most ancient roots, pre-Babylonian times, when planet Earth was visited and controlled by extraterrestrial groups here on the earth. They were the gods of old. Um, they weren't supernatural beings, they were extraterrestrials with powers of technology that made them appear to be supernatural. And one of those groups was the Orionid group. So here's, for some of you, it's going to be a reveal. For some of you, you've heard this, you've kind of gotten this, you've picked it up. The dark elite are rooted in a particular Orionid group. So from Orion, they're a very strange extraterrestrial group. You know, their sort of religion is that it's their right to own the universe, the galaxy. They are each of them incarnated like they are God. They incarnated, each one of them. This is very, very, very disturbed, very deranged, and sort of this kind of ultimate Luciferian position is what they take to be true. And there's two factions in the Orionids. There's the so-called red, sometimes called dark, or sometimes called black Orionids. So red or dark or black Orionids. And the reason they are called that is because they so profoundly believe that they have the right of dominion of the universe, that they believe it is their right to feed upon the blood of the species of the universe. And they do this. They don't eat like we do. They absorb nutrients through their skin. And so it is their practice to bathe in the blood of species. And they particularly like human blood. And so when you ask where this, I mean, you've obviously heard all about adrenochrome as being a thing that the elites, the Earth elites, use as a kind of a drug. Well, this is their technology. These red Orionids have found that if you prepare your meal by torturing the person and then letting their blood, that you get blood that is enriched with adrenaline, and if they bathe in that, then this gives them an optimal lift. So that's their technology. And they've been doing this. They've been living way behind the scenes. They have no reason to come out to be seen by the average human. They've been living way behind the scenes. And then the Galactic Federation shut this all down, and there was meant to be quarantine, and a very small number of these Orionids survived as kind of mummies. They were kept in this like an undead, semi-animated state, something that apparently they can do, and then you sort of revive them from time to time. And so there's been a whole organization around it, organization of humans serving as their sort of high priests, and these humans would revive them on instruction from time to time, and then receive instruction and pass that instruction on to a set of a whole organization of humans who were the hidden hands upon the reins of control. So you would never know who you'd never get names, identities, you'd never see them. The hidden hands. And the hidden hands then operate on the visible hands. The visible hands are what we as normal humans would consider to be the most powerful people in the world. The very top level. And here we have the first kind of the names that you might have heard, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, these kind of generationally super wealthy people who live. I mean, you don't see their names listed. They say Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. Well, that's just according to what's listed because we can see it. Um, so Elon arises and Jeff Bezos arises, and you have people who are coming into wealth, and then you have the the people that are just live in that kind of orbit right up at the top there. And these are the people who issue instructions to the next level. And the next level would be, the kings and the popes and the politicians and those people. And then below them are people like Elon Musk who rise up to wealth. So that's the system. And up until quite recently, it was working very well for them. It was working like a well-oiled machine. um, and then, as we know, the ancient red vampire, who was the red Orionid at the peak of this whole pyramid. He was the pyramid's pinnacle, Ben stone. Um, so he was sort of permanently retired from life as a result of an action which is a little bit confusing. There are lots of people who think that they were the assassin, but it was the sort of a concerted effort, and it doesn't really matter who actually did the sort of the spiritual ritual that laid the that set the trap, because we were working in concert, even though we didn't know it. People all over the world were doing the same thing. So anyway, the point is it happened that the ancient red vampire was unable to return to his body. When they did the ritual to bring him back to life, the body didn't come back to life, and that was the first major crack. Since then, it's just been cracking, because you have lieutenants who are not equipped or prepared to slip into the shoes of the king. They can't do what he does. They're not prepared for it. So they have all of the plans that he's pre-equipped them with, but they're not operating properly in concert. And so some time ago, Adamu had a release. He said, the Dark Elite system of control has achieved a point of internal incoherence. It's not operating as a machine anymore. Sometime before that, Adamu declared victory because he saw all of this coming. He saw this lining up. So with all that going on, where does that leave us now? It leaves us in a place where you can understand that there are factions within factions within factions, and they're all kind of trying to vie for control, and it's all very messy, very complicated, and it's very hard to know what's actually going on. But the red Orionids is an extraterrestrial faction that was aligned with the idea of gaining totalitarian control of the planet, so that the moment of revelation, when everything falls and collapses and implodes, when the dust settles, they are in control of planet Earth. So planet Earth becomes their dominion. All right. Now, one can say there's a lower timeline where that plays out and that happens. Okay. We're not on that timeline. That's why nothing is working out for them. That's since the death of the ancient red vampire. Everything's been imploding. And on a galactic scale, in Orion, the Orionids are, I've said this before, they're a very strange species. They destroyed their home planet. Their home habitat doesn't exist anymore. It's just like an uninhabitable dust bowl, a wasteland. They can't go back there. One of the main reasons they want planet Earth. They're looking for a new homeland, and they like planet Earth. Lots of abundant food. That's you and I. and a beautiful garden planet for them to start again. Um, they are aging out. They've destroyed their ability to reproduce by tinkering with their genome in retrospect, one can say in an unintelligent fashion, tinkering with their germline to achieve individual immortality. Um, DNA is an interesting thing. If you tinker with this, then that changes, and you change something here, and then that also changes. And so, in endeavoring to transcend aging, they messed up their ability to reproduce. Funny how that worked. So there are these incredibly long-lived beings who are nonetheless not actually God, surprise, not actually divine, immortal beings. So as long as they're living, they can still die, and slowly over time, there's attrition of, maybe not old age, but there's other things that'll kill you. So they're slowly dying out, and they were wanting not just to use humanity for food, but to actually try and do something with splicing genetics and hybridizing and so regaining their ability to reproduce. Their experiments aren't going well because they're unwilling to let go of um, individual physical mortality. So at the same time, because of all this going on, there's been a movement in Orion, and there's a different faction, the White Orionid faction, so called because their skins are not stained with constant blood baths, literal blood baths. They have chosen a different way. Instead of, I mean, they still think they're gods. They still think it's their birthright to own the universe. Um, but they're more into um, a responsible custodial role of their dominion of the universe. So they believe it's the moral right thing to do to bathe instead of in blood, but to bathe in like a manufactured foodstuff. Um, Something that I don't know how they grow this food, bacterial vats producing a broth of proteins, and this kind of thing. So they're producing a food that they bathe in, um, and their idea is that, like, let's say the White Orionids gained control of planet Earth, they would want to be responsible custodians of Earth. They would want to up level humanity. They would want to responsibly, sustainably manage us. So you can think of this. I mean, put yourself in position of like being a farmer. You are either an ethical farmer, who keeps your cattle, you put them out to graze, they're grass fed, they're free range, they roam wild, you're not routinely giving them antibiotics, or you want them to live to their maximum potential. And you believe that that is the way to get the best out of that farm, to have it be a good and sustainably managed farm. You're a moral farmer. Versus the different kind of farmer, the one that just wants maximum production, and you don't care if the animals suffer. You don't care if they're, everything's factory farming and everything's just production and utilization, and you don't care if animals have emotions and feelings, and if they suffer, and if you don't care if the quality of the meat is terrible because it's pumped full of antibiotics, because you don't think any of that's important. Well, if you drew a line like that, then that would give you an idea of the mindset. Red Orionid versus White Orionid. In my view, the White Orionids are still not the good guys. They're better class of bad guy. Um, but at least you can talk to a person like that, because at least there is an intention to some sort of morality, something, an improved kind of way of thinking. So you can negotiate with this lot. That lot, not so much. But anyway, we're not on the timeline where Orion gains dominion of planet Earth. We're on the timeline where humanity gains dominion of planet Earth. Because the other big important space faction that you need to know about, the Galactic Federation, led by groups like the Pleiadians and the Arcturans, and these are beings, what they want for planet Earth. And the reason they've been holding off on this, on the quarantine, and there's a whole lot of things that just won't make sense to your mind until you understand that they've been waiting for a moment that really we can call human apotheosis, spiritual divine awakening, a singularity event, a moment where we transcend a level of consciousness and achieve a next level of consciousness. A moment where, as a result of that, there's a kind of a collective switch on, and we begin to gain access to things like collective knowledge, a collective telepathy. Um, People who followed the law of one, the raw material, will understand when I say we move from being a individuated, fragmentary consciousness planet, 3D consciousness, to a social memory complex. There's a unification, a singularity. And this singularity is due. It's coming. It's soon. And when I say this kind of thing, people are like, oh, well, in my lifetime, within the next soon, very soon. Um, I you know I hate trying to put dates on things, because it doesn't work like that. It doesn't operate on dates. It operates on sequentiality. But if you look at the sequentiality, if you look at how things are unfolding, then I would say easily within the next 5 years. I would say that easily within the next 5 years, there's going to be the singularity. And 2025 being the ending of the cycles, being, as I say, this year of great revelation, is one of the preparatory phases for the singularity. So it's all unfolding. It's all busy happening. So why do the Galactic Federation want us to have our apotheosis? Why? Because everything that they've been doing, and this is very difficult to understand, difficult to hear, even permitting the dark elite to operate suppressed but behind the scenes, even that is a necessary part of the process. Great spiritual change isn't just something that happens. It kind of needs to be instigated. We as humanity were, if you take yourself back to, let's say, the 2010s, the 1990s, the 1980s, we were really complacent in our world. What are you as an adult to do? You get a good job, which means you need a good education. And once you've got your good education, you've got your good job, you buy a house, raise some kids, make sure your kids get a good education so that they'll get a good job. This is what we thought was important, because what else are you going to do? And life is good, friends and family and loved ones. And so when you're not under the right kind of pressure, you don't evolve. Evolution doesn't just happen. It happens. There's pressure, unbearable pressure. Oh my God, if I just stay where I am, I will die. So I awaken, I evolve. Spiritual evolution is what has been happening. And how quickly have people been woken up from their deep slumber by the scamdemic, by seeing the propaganda machine running. People have been woken up. So the awakening process is a process that's where, I mean, I remember I was a conspiracy theorist. I would sit around a dining room table of just a social gathering, and I would be the only one at that table that like was into conspiracy theories, and I had to manage myself. I had to like share little crumbs of information and then watch people. Oh no, that couldn't be. There's no way there could be such a big conspiracy. No, people are terrible at keeping secrets. It would all come out, and oh no. Um, Up until 9/11. 9/11 caused like a shock, caused a wake up. And these kinds of events have been happening as the dark elite play their cards, trying to cement further control. Because we've been moving towards this timeline, things have been backfiring, have becoming counterproductive. They killed JFK because he was going to disassemble some of their tools of control. And that woke a few people up. And it's been simmering and festering in our consciousness. And so JFK and Bay of Pigs and this and that and Pearl Harbor and things just don't add up. And boom, 911. Oh, wait a minute, it's an inside job. And then COVID. It's just been waking people up. So the galactic forces, the Galactic Federation of Light. It's a big alignment of the highly sentient beings of the planets in this galaxy who are aligned with a light agenda, which means a loving agenda, which means an awakening, unity conscious, creator conscious agenda. These beings, what do they want? They want you and me and all of the rest of us to awaken, so that planet Earth will become this place of singularity where we are we're wide awake, we're the dominant species, we're the sentient species, and we decide from a place of wisdom. We choose wise, good, highest frequency beings amongst ourselves to counsel us. We choose the highest frequency beings to present to us, policies and strategies for our collective good. And then we collectively choose from a place of knowing and insight and wisdom. It's a very different picture than the one we've had, where the planet has been fragmented and fractured, and we've been led by, this psychopathic, megalomaniac bunch of twisted weirdos who just want power and control and are willing to destroy everything in serving their own power and control. So that is the old world, and that world is crumbling. It's dying. What we're seeing, the chaos in the world, is that busy dying, and this new beginning to be birthed. So that's what's going on. But the old world is not giving up without a fight. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the pushback, the fight back on the planet of this dark elite, with trying to maintain control. And actually, they were trying to grab the whole planet, but they're trying to maintain, they're trying not to lose what they're holding on to. And they're fighting a terribly ugly war. The destruction of Los Angeles, the destruction of Lahaina before that, they're using their tools to clear and level so that they can create space for societies that would be willing to live the way they want societies to be run, which means they're actually seeing themselves already. They're seeing themselves retreating to some strongholds. So what we know is that they are panicking because nothing has worked out according to plan, and they've got no means of understanding this. It's never been like this ever before. They've never had this where their plans just don't work out and everything goes to hell, because they always had the ancient red vampire who, for better or for worse, was really brilliant, was really a genius. And he was this kind of a connection point between a vast spirit world of beings who are aligned with, this agenda. So he was running things. He was orchestrating things. And when he died, apparently he's on the other side, and he understands that he was playing a role, an important role, and it was all necessary. And actually, ultimately, when you get right down to it, the dark eventually all serves the light, because the light is, that's God, that's oneness, that's divine will. So divine will was for planet Earth to be held in this kind of a place where there's this very dark, hidden agenda against which we are fighting, and the only way to win it is to wake up. So it's literally like evolve, awaken, or die. That's what it is. So we've been under pressure, and it's never nice to be under pressure. An analogy I like is that the process of turning coal into diamonds is never very nice for the coal, because it's heat and pressure. It's unendurable heat and pressure until the coal can no longer be coal, and then it crystallizes and becomes a diamond. Well, spiritually, that's what we're doing. We're going through this heat and pressure of discovering our diamond selves, our divine selves. So people are waking up en masse. There's never been an awakening on planet Earth like what is happening right now. And through this awakening, we are earning the right to the possession of this planet, our divine mother, who is our home. And we have the right to our own self-determination. We have the right to declare, what will happen to us, who we will engage with. Galactic Federation, Orionids, and the little Greys. They're also, these factions want to present themselves to us, and you will have the right to decide with whom you are aligned, and we will collectively decide with whom the planet is aligned. The Galactic Federation want us to do so from a place of empowerment, understanding, knowledge, wisdom, spiritual awakening. Of course, they're hoping that we will choose them, which will choose to align with them. And I believe it's a no-brainer. Once we have all of the information, once all of the lies and the veiling and the disinformation and the obfuscation, when that all comes crumbling down, then we will see and we will go, well, they're the good guys. They're the best of what is available, and their agenda with regards to us is the most benevolent. So the planet will align with them. Then there are many, I believe, who will, percentage-wise not so many, but there's a good numerical number, who will say, well, we want to leave the planet and we want to go and live on the ships, on the Orionid constellation of ships. We want to go there. And that will be the Dark Elite themselves, and their minions and the whole structure, everybody that, because they have made themselves our enemies. They have fed upon us, turned us against each other in war. They have fermented, like the whole woke thing is about creating division. That's a tool of theirs. That's their mind virus to turn us upon each other using anything that they can. Race, religion, any separator that they can create, and say, you've got to be on this side or you're the enemy, and creating this kind of division. They did all that, literally feeding upon us. The abduction of children from across the planet has been like a machine of sexual abuse and abduction and farming for blood products. Now that machine has been disassembled. It's been falling apart because this it's a human faction, but I don't really like saying the white hats. It's so simplistic, but the good guys in the intelligence and military services have been operating way behind the scenes. The little snippets of information that you and I have been getting, the little breadcrumbs that we've been gathering, we're not like at the forefront of being the most informed. We're not part of an intelligence service. So the fact that we've been getting this information and understanding this stuff, there have been good guys that have been getting it too. And so they've been working behind the scenes. And so all of this is happening all at the same time. And there is also jockeying in the space around us. And so one potential thing that we are quite likely to see, I am told, is war in the heavens. Now, what this actually looks like is as the Galactic Federation continue to push for revelation, for the awareness of their existence. So there is a secret space force here on planet Earth. Hidden technologies, black technologies that have been developed since World War II. Hitler had bell-shaped craft that he was his technologists were working on, and there've been reverse engineering layers of information and hidden information from that pre-Babylonian era. All of that together, all of that information has been used to make a hidden force of like spacecraft of compared to what we know, like compared to fighter jets and that sort of thing, it's a next level of technology. So as the Galactic Federation pushes to be seen, they more and more visible. They'll do this in waves. There'll be a flap. You'll see many lights and movements and things in the sky. And then the next wave, it's bigger, more obvious. So at some point, they are aware that that's going to sort of force the hand of this hidden space force, which the Dark Elite were hoping to keep in reserve to stage a fake alien invasion as a part of their plans. Well, these plans are all in tatters now. They've got this hidden space force. We anticipate they're going to use this space force to try and fight the galactic forces, which is, it's farting against thunder. They have no hope. But this is the anticipation, that they will fight tooth and claw till the very, 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 very last. Because surrendering for them is humiliation in an extreme, and also, we'll figure them out. We'll figure out who they are. We'll figure out where they are. We'll root them out. There will be commissions of inquiry, and the whole Dark Elite system of control will come under scrutiny, and people are going to be baying for blood. When you start to understand what they've been doing, it's very hard to not want them dead. So they go from being like really at the top of the pyramid, having like power and control and wealth and this illusion of, we're in control of the whole planet. It's all just our toy and we're playing with it, to being on the run, to hiding, to being hunted down. So this is absolutely intolerable to them, and they won't do it. They're going to fight with everything they have till the very last. This is what we anticipate. So how does that look? There's a good chance that you're going to see some very exciting things in the sky. We're not talking, we're not talking like fighter jets fighting above your heads, above that level. It's kind of, and in the upper stratosphere out into space. These kind of triangular shaped ships with lights at each corner and a big central light. That's human technology. There's a variety of kind of human technologies, and they want to potentially send that up to try and fight away, to chase away the Galactic Federation. So the Galactic Federation, their plan is to just keep presenting themselves a little bit more intently, and so that humans wake up, that the normies are out there with their cameras and going like, dude, what is this? You've seen those videos. What is this? Oh my God, it's lights, and they're doing amazing things. These lights, light ships, actual light ships, and a variety of other ships, material ships, which are not from Earth, are there, and they're doing incredible things. They're moving in ways that nothing we have can move. You've got these time probes, which are large metallic balls. A ball can't just fly, right? How is it navigating? There's no propulsion and there's no wings. How is this happening? So these kinds of things, the ordinary human beings who have not known about these things are going to start seeing these things either with their own eyes and taking video of it, and then they put it on the internet, and then the censorship industrial complex tries to take it all down. So there's an information war that's still ongoing. So the Orionids won't directly challenge the Galactic Federation militarily. That's not really their strength, military conflict, and they're not really a militarized society. The Galactic Federation is militarized because there had been this long-running war between the Galactic Federation and the Draco, which is another faction I haven't mentioned yet today, because the Draco have just recently, we're talking now in the last few years, completely changed stance. They are, or have, surrendered their claim on planet Earth. They've just said it's okay, we're letting it go. And where the only interaction between the Galactic Federation and the Draco ever was conflictual, the Draco would not accept. If you've watched Star Trek, like Jean-Luc Picard on the Enterprise, and then open hailing frequencies, let's talk to them. And then you have a conversation with the enemy, and then the conversation doesn't go well, and then photon torpedoes away. Well, that couldn't happen with the Draco. They would not engage in conversation at all. So there's a long story how that has changed. Long story. If you haven't heard the story, I've got it's an 8-hour, 4-part, 8-hour conversation. How humanity comes from Lyra, how we became the Pleiadians, how we gained planet Earth, and all of this in conflict with the Draco all along. The Draco was our mortal enemy. They just wanted to wipe us off of the galaxy. They wanted to eliminate us. So suddenly now there is diplomatic contact between the Galactic Federation and the Draco. There's talks about talks. and the beginnings of agreements. And one of the things they've said is that they're surrendering their claim on planet Earth. They're not going to fight for planet Earth. There's no more war from their side over planet Earth. And they're willing to be in conversation. Who knows where that conversation goes? I mean, does it become a trade alliance? Does actual alliances? Do we actually make friends with them? I mean, it's kind of unthinkable, but here we are. That's busy happening. So that's an important shift in the big picture. It means that there doesn't need to be a real fighting war, where there's the war in the heavens that we will see will be more of a show, while our dark space, black forces, black space forces, the black ops space forces, while they are dealt with. And all of this will, of course, add to the awakening, to the dropping of the veils, to the revelations that I've been talking about. So, crazy time, friends, is what it's going to be. It's going to be a crazy, crazy time. Depending on where you're at, as I said in the beginning, it might be amazing, exciting, wonderful, a relief. But like if you're living in a big city and these things start happening, what's going to happen to your neighbors? Things change, and when things change, people become unstable. And unstable people can be dangerous people, especially en masse. So I don't know. You might see like rioting and looting. You might see people going through the shock of cognitive dissonance. Like if suddenly everything you've ever known and believed to be true, the rug is just whipped right out under you, and there's this whole other reality, which before you had said was absurd, insane, conspiracy theory, nutcase, woo-woo, fluff. I want nothing to do with it. Now that's suddenly all true, all of it. What do you do? Do you just go to work on Monday? Do you just keep the wheels turning that you're a part of? If you're a cashier in a bank, or if you're a manager of a factory, or if you're a, whatever you are, do you just keep working? Maybe you don't. Maybe you fall apart for a while. Maybe you just need to, sit in the corner with a blankie and moan for a while your mind reconfigures. I don't know. I don't know what people do. But we can expect a lot of upheaval. And we can expect some percentage of the population to go crazy. So that's why you're preparing. You just need to have it figured out self-responsibly what you would do while transitions happen. And transitions might happen in fits and starts. There might be sort of a breakdown of something. Maybe the stores around you are closed and there are no deliveries. Maybe the banking system stutters. Maybe your card no longer works. Maybe electricity stops. Maybe. Who can tell? That's why you're preparing. You're preparing so that in the event of things being a little bit wild around you, that you can hunker down at home and just wait out some kind of an adjustment, an adaptation, and a return to some new level of normalcy. So I'm not saying prepare from a place of pessimism. I'm saying prepare from a place of optimistic realism, because it's all going to be okay. Ultimately, you've survived the madness. You've lived through everything up until this point. If you're just sensible, don't panic, don't do stupid things. If people are, out there rioting and smashing windows and looting shops for water and toilet paper, You just don't want to be out there with them. You want to be in here. You've already got your water and your toilet paper, so that you're going to be okay. And not only are you okay, but you can be centered in yourself, and you can speak to anybody who would listen, neighbors, friends, loved ones, and you can say it's okay. It's okay. This is fine. And come and be with me. I've got water and toilet paper. Don't go out into the madness. And you can anchor frequencies, higher frequencies. And that's ultimately what we need to be doing. Connect with your heart, connect with your truth bell, connect with your soul, bring the divine light into your being, radiate your being with the light of unconditional love. Hold that frequency, resonate that frequency, and that's the best way to keep the people around you from going mad. Because ultimately, when everything is said and done, COVID and vaccines and lights in the sky and fogs and all of that is all just theater. It's all just noise happening because there's a spiritual war going on. And the spiritual war is about the frequency of human consciousness. And we've already crossed the threshold. We already have a sufficient group of high frequency beings on planet Earth that we are already on the higher timeline. We're already going towards the outcome that is the best good, the highest good. Things are already going to be okay. You just need to make it there. You just need to survive to see that future. And things are going to be remarkably different. Amazingly, unimaginably, wonderfully different post the event, post the singularity which we are headed towards. Okay. So, Zingdad's bedside report. Just an update on how things look and how things are going from this one perspective. Thank you for watching. Until next time. Bye-bye.